Hi, my name is Diego Pena Lopez. I'm the program director here at Casa Alitas, a shelter in Tucson, Arizona, working with asylum seekers who have just recently crossed the U.S. border after being within DHS. The shelter supports families and individuals that are coming as they're getting ready to go and embark on a journey to be with their family and sponsors across the United States. So we'll help them understand where they are in the legal services, providing them food, clothing, a place for respite, a place to sleep, showers, basic medical attention, and basic legal services. You can see here about 16 different countries represented. From our history since 2014, these are 16 countries that we've seen people coming from. And it's crazy to me to think that this list of countries that people coming from to our shelter has grown and expanded over the years continuously.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being here to talk about Casa Alitas and about your experience as interns here. So it might be good if we start with some introductions. So, of course, you all know me, but for our audience, I'm Josefina Ahumada. I'm a retired social work faculty from ASU School of Social Work. But in my retirement, I continue as a field instructor. And so why don't we go around the circle and you could say your name and whether you're an alumni or if you're currently in school, what level are you in? So let's start with you.
I was totally hoping it was going to go the other direction. My name's Diego Javier Pena Lopez. I am an MSW, alum of the ASU School of Social Work. I think now it's been 2.5 years that I've been an alum. And I also am the program director for Casa Alitas, starting off as my field placement, thanks to Josefina here, and then moving up over time. We're going to go this way to my left.
So I'm Adriana Duarte, and I am in the part-time Masters of Social Work program with the Child Welfare section due to my employment. And yeah.
All right, my name is Emily Andrade, and I am an MSW student, and I'm currently doing my internship at Southside Worker Center, and I also work on the side with Child and Family Resources.
I'm Juan Mejia. I am an MSW student in my second year, concentration year. I did my first year internship here at Casa Alitas.
Well, thank you. Diego, why don't we start with you because you were the first student placed at Casa Alitas. And so what drew you to the field placement?
It was the hours that drew me.
It was the hours.
No, but what drew me was first I wanted to be a school social worker and try my hand at that. And the first few semesters was good, but I wanted a little bit more challenge. And sitting down in our meetings talking about what I need and what was I looking for, and I think what you saw as possibility for growth for me and what the community needed, you suggested Casa Alitas. And it hit this idea for me is like to get more background, heritage, cultures coming through and understanding of what's going on in our community. And, I often say these stories about the first time I come into Alitas and seeing a truck full of toilet paper and diapers coming in and helping pass those out, or having a woman coming through who just had a C-section and having her medication taken away. And here I am, a 28-year-old guy trying to find her medication and an advocate and then a doctor and so forth. And realizing the disparities there was something that drew me longer term, and realizing like this is a place that needs support, needs a community, and it's just a beautiful place to work in. And then over time, it's just grown and changed. I couldn't leave, right? It's almost like that Hotel California for me. So,
Well, we're so glad that you didn't leave and that you have remained here. So we'll go around just asking that initial question, and then we'll just have a free-flowing conversation. So, Adriana, what drew you to the internship?
For me, it was the hours.
Okay.
It kind of just fell into my lap. I had another internship actually lined up and it fell through. So a few weeks prior to school starting, I was trying to figure out where to go. And the field placement person, she kind of just asked me a few questions. She said, I think you need to be in contact with Josefina. I think she has some great programs for you. And so I ended up here, which I'm kind of grateful for. I think this would have been a better fit than the other ones. So, and it just worked out. I love being here. So.
Okay. oftentimes those great opportunities happen when we just stumble into it,
Exactly.
right? And you're open to the opportunity. Emily, what drew you to the internship?
Yeah, I don't mean to copy everyone's answer, but honestly, a huge part of it was the hours, and I'm a procrastinator, sadly. So that was also another part of it. It was one of the first ones I saw, and so I was like, why not? And it was also a very different line of work than what I usually do. So I usually work with like birth to 5 years old, and so this was a completely different population. And it was also something personal to me. So I really wanted to just support this population any way that I could. So that's kind of like the overarching like reason why.
That's great. Well, for our audience, so they don't get the wrong idea, is that I supervise students in about 2 or 3 different agencies, depending on the academic year. And I kind of specialize in working with students who need internship hours that are non-traditional. So you have people who need to work on weekends or evenings. And so that's why you have gravitated. And I also know that this is Casa Alitas and the Southside Worker Center is a fabulous placement for students to learn about the issues of living in the borderlands. And we'll talk more about that. But we want to include Juan, who is now in his second field placement at Pueblo High School, but you did your first field placement here at Casa Alitas. So what drew you to that internship?
I did. So my first year, I was going to do my internship at Pueblo, but the pandemic hit, and we decided to homeschool our kids with my wife. So I had to look for the flexible hours. And then Diana put me in contact with you, Josefina, and you directed me here. It was a good fit. Definitely a great experience. Being an immigrant once myself, it definitely felt personal, and I learned a lot this placement.
Well, one of the questions I often ask students is, were there any aha moments for you? Now, for you, Juan, you're looking back to last year, and so you have like a longer opportunity to have a retrospective view of an aha moment or a lesson that had a real impact on you. And I know for the two of you, this is your first field placement, but you're coming to the end of the first semester of the internship. So thinking about an aha moment of like, wow, this isn't what I expected of an internship. Maybe we could start with Diego, an aha moment for you.
I think the aha moments, there's been many of them doing this internship. I think that social work is so broad and it fits into so many different areas. One of the first field placement evaluations that we had, I was running around trying to take care of several families in the shelter, and you just arrive and the refrigerator door broke off. And we were talking a little bit, and this family's struggling to get something from there. So I'm like trying to screw in this refrigerator door, and Josefina's like, you're hitting what a social worker should be doing, working on, comforting people, making everything just a little bit better, and evaluating and being observant what people are needing across the board. But I think from there to fixing a refrigerator door, to having like volunteers, we're predominantly, majority of the people here are volunteers in the community, and that advocacy and community organizing to get people through the door, but also understanding the policies. So then you can meet with people, your senators, your Congress people, to talk about things, and then being able to look at and recognize a budget a little bit in our program planning and development. It just, so many different areas fall into this work, and especially being one of these kind of grassroots start shelters and being able to do a bunch of different things has been phenomenal for me. But it's just that thing that always catches me about being a social worker is you have to be a jack of all trades.
And meeting your client in the moment.
Yeah.
Okay. It was a little tense for him because I remember you looking at me like, oh, she's here to do an evaluation. I have to fix this refrigerator. And I said, well, that's what social workers do. You're in the moment with your client. Aha moments for you all?
I would hate to say that it's kind of similar. I have
Mhm.
that social work background where I work in child welfare. And so this was a different field placement for me. It was something totally out of my realm. So kind of realizing there's more out there.
Mhm.
There's more to just what I was doing, and that I could do so much more than just sit at a desk and do my child welfare work. So that's kind of been my eye-awakening moment for me.
Wow. And Emily, you've done some volunteer work here at Casa Alitas, but your main internship is at Southside Workers Center.
Yeah.
And people may not know exactly what that is. Could you describe it a little bit and how different it is from being in your office to being on a street corner?
Yeah, so Southside Worker Center, it is kind of linked to Southside Presbyterian Church. Is that fair to say?
Mhm.
And it consists of being a membership essentially for day laborers. So that's a big part of the one of the main missions of the center, I guess. And essentially my role has been like standing outside with the day laborers at 7:30 a.m. And just having conversations with them, hearing their stories, and advocating for them if they need assistance, like legally, or if they need connections to like other organizations in the community that may help with like rental assistance or utility assistance. And honestly, a lot of the times it's just talking to them. So that's a huge part of the center, is just humanizing people, I think. And in addition, I know once the center opens, they provide like a membership for the day laborers. I also work to assist like people who call in. So most of the time this looks like redirecting them, whether it be like they show up at the center at like 5 to like 11 a.m. And like seek out a day laborer themselves, and what is it called? They bargain. There's another word for that.
Well, they negotiate.
Negotiate, yes, with the day laborer themselves. Or they can also talk to me, and I can be like the middle person and try to connect them with the day laborer. So that's kind of been my role right now, a lot more. And that's a little bit of
Right. The Southside Workers Center is a day labor program where day laborers are matched with employers. And there's the social work component that you were describing. Listening to people's stories, and they may express a need. And everything has run from, I have these legal documentation that ICE gave me, but I don't know what to do with it. And are referring over to Pueblo High School, where there is a immigrant legal clinic, as well as helping folks find housing, or helping with utility bills and those kinds of things. So literally it is open air social work on a street corner. So have there been any ahas for you? Because it is a very different practice from what you've done at your regular employment.
Yeah, definitely. I think even when I was explaining it, there was like an aha moment for me. And that was that, like, I think my first aha moment is, it's not about me. It's okay to not take everything personal, you know, in terms of just, if someone says something, it's more about me listening and reflecting like their feelings and just being present in that moment, even if I disagree with what they're saying. And another part of not taking everything personal is realizing there's only so much I can do. So I can connect them with like community resources, and I can try to find like utility or bill assistance or legal assistance. But again, at the end of the day, it's not about me, it's about them, and it's about the support that they want. So that was kind of like my aha moment.
Your aha moment. How about for you, Juan?
There was a lot of aha moments while I was here. Two that really stand out. One, Diego really pushed me to work and to think about the macro side of the house. We were able to create a coalition of different organizations here in Southern Arizona that came together and supported, you know, whether it be cities down in Mexico, and reaching out almost all the way to Guatemala before I had to abruptly kind of take a step back. So, you know, I was thinking policies. I never thought I would be doing that kind of work. So Diego did push me and help me along the way, not just push me. But I think the biggest aha moment was one of our guests, kind of difficult, but you know, you you take it with stride. But my last interaction with him was me helping him to the car because he couldn't walk. We had to take him to the hospital, and then not too long after that, he passed away. So it left an impression in me, and just remembering that, my last interaction with him, he was really grateful that I was there helping him out. So I just take that with me when I work with anybody. They might be difficult, but I don't know what they're going through. So
Yeah. I think one of the things that we bring to our relationships with our clients or the guests here at Casa Alitas, or the day laborers on the corner, is being a listener and being an empathetic listener. And there's so many times that I've been a social worker for 46 years, but there's always something new that you're learning in the practice. And so I was wondering about your learning process. What was for the two of you, and what is helpful for you in terms of what you receive from a mentor or a field instructor like me? What's helpful that I do as a field instructor in your learning process?
I think social work's a labyrinth, right? You're just, you hit a wall, so you have to turn left. And you're really good at helping us find our way. If during my internship, if I found something difficult, I would bring it up to you, and you kind of give me guidance of where either to start looking for information or your past experiences. So.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think your patience and your flexibility with us. I mean, I love that labyrinth analogy. Is you made yourself available to talk to us and to be creative with us when situations weren't that easy for our sides, and then understanding, even as social workers, as much as we think we're like separate, we have our own problems that we take into a situation, and helping us dive through those things. And I think your openness as a mentor now, being able to sit with you every so often and have, breakfast and such or what have you, but to gain your insight and having that privilege from as a student now, it's just humbling, and I could tear up right now. I'm gonna stop.
Yeah. Thank you for saying those kind things. The supervision is a practice, and in many ways it's a parallel practice. So what you were describing, how I would be with you walking like in a labyrinth, that's parallel to the expectation I have of you in working with clients. And so I often hope that I'm doing the practice, that I'm doing it well. Because the same thing that you're learning from me, that you carry out in the field. And field is about what you're learning in the classroom, the theoretical constructs of social work, the social work standards, and then you come out into the field and you realize, those clients aren't exactly the way we talk about it in the classroom, because it's very dynamic and there's such diversity. What have been some of your expectations of a field instructor?
I mean, listening, I think that was important. You listen to it. Every time I've talked to you, you're very open and you listen to everything we have to say. And you also ask us questions to make us think. I think that's important, to have us thinking outside of the box and utilizing the information that we're gathering from not only Casa Alitas, but from school.
Yeah. I think about Emily I don't know if you would say this, but there's times I feel like I push you outside your comfort zone a little bit.
No, I would agree. Yeah, I think it's a good thing, though. Yeah.
I hope it's a good thing.
Yeah. I think it helps to just get to that action stage too, because for me, like anyone, I'll stay in my comfort zone because it's comfortable. And so when I get that push, I'm like, oh, I can actually do this. Or, so it gives me that confidence too.
Yeah.
I would also add that you're really good at, or any good supervisor is good at empathizing. Because I think especially someone who has been in your role as a social work student and now a supervisor, essentially, you are able to literally be in our shoes. And so you guide us from that perspective as well. And I think that's a really great addition that has helped me.
Okay. Do you see yourselves in the future being a supervisor or a field instructor for the School of Social Work? I know you're not out of school yet. And definitely Diego has been a mentor to a number of, because this is now maybe going into our third year of having social work students here at Casa Alitas. So we jointly have been supervising students. So do you see yourself in that role? I know that's a loaded question.
I do. I definitely want to start as a school social worker and maybe work my way around the field because there's just so many opportunities. So, but I do see myself trying to fill your shoes, Josefina.
It's training that next generation. My shoes. I hadn't quite thought about it that way. Mis chanclas. But it's playing it forward, isn't it? Because I graduated from UCLA in 1975, and I had some great mentors. And I think about one, Zeke Lujan. My second year field placement was in a storefront clinic in East LA, predominantly low income clients and all ages. I had kids all the way up to elderly, and I had no idea what I was doing. no idea. And he was patient with me and guided me, and I made lots of mistakes. Because one of the things that I could be very impetuous. So rather than asking him ahead of time, I would just go ahead and do things. And then I had to come back. Right. So I totally understand coming back and say, well, this is what happened. And I'm not sure it was the right thing. And so he was very patient with me and guiding me. And so I learned that, well, wait a minute, I also have to be reflective and not always be in motion doing things. So I learned a lot from Zeke. I wish I could tell him and I think all of you, from your experiences, you would be passing on the social work tradition. We give a lot, I think, as social workers. Emily, you talked about the limitations, and you're right, because a number of folks that we work with are not documented, so they're not entitled to the usual benefits that a U.S. resident would have. But I always think that the critical thing that we have to give people is a sense of hope and support. And the folks that are seen here at Casa Alitas, many of them had traveled over 3,000 miles to come to the U.S.-Mexico border, and they've experienced all kinds of trauma. They may have been physically assaulted, maybe sexually assaulted. Then they're in an encampment on the Mexican side of the border. They basically have been through hell and back. And so we may not have a lot of physical resources to give people. And clearly here at the shelter, they're here 24 hours, 48 hours, and we're basically providing basic essentials, food, clothing, and temporary shelter, and travel information. And so sometimes that may seem so little, right? But when you think about it, it's huge. Giving people a sense of hope, esperanza. There is a future for them. And I think all of you have done a fantastic job of being genuine and being authentic and promoting that sense of hope. So if I were a guest here, I would be every day thanking you for that. Because being a displaced person is extremely challenging and sometimes, I imagine, frightening and traumatic for people. So to have kind, supportive, and we know the social workers aren't just kind, supportive people, that we also have a theoretical framework for the work that we do, and we are strategic in how we interact with people, when are we supportive, and when do we actually implement an intervention with someone, and we're always thinking about that. I know sometimes we make it look easy, But it really isn't, is it? It really isn't. I mean, we're doing more than just talking with people. Yeah. So I appreciate all of you. And thank you for being here to talk about social work and social work internship. And I hope it motivates those out there watching to think about a career in social work.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Josefina.
Thank you.